Another shot at resolving a decades-old issue between Korea and Japan in vain. The neighboring countries held the 10th round of talks in Seoul today over Tokyo's wartime sex slavery system. The negotiations came just days after the first summit between President Park Geun and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, during which the two leaders agreed to speed up the talks. Our foreign affairs correspondent Song Ji-sun is live in the studio with me to delve into what was discussed behind closed doors. Ji-sun, good to have you here.
Right, Conn, but at least they tried, and their talks, which continued for 2 hours, went into an hour lunch, and they both said they tried to narrow their gaps to actually reach an agreement as soon as possible. Now, this comes just a week after a summit talks a week before, early in November, where President Park Geun and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe agreed to settle this issue as soon as possible for a faster resolution.
Now, this is the 10th round of negotiation talks after the first one in April last year. Now, what's the biggest difference in opinion regarding this matter of a wartime sexual slavery system?
Well, there's a parallel between Tokyo and Seoul because Tokyo claims that its legal obligations have been completely and finally settled in a 1965 agreement that normalized relations between the two countries. Now, Seoul, however, rebuts this by arguing the so-called conflict issue was not included in that treaty. And Seoul's foreign ministry also stresses that that agreement only mentioned economic cooperation, property, and claims, while leaving out the illegal act against humanity, and which was the enslavement and exploitation of women during and before the World War II. So I did look up what was this article about on this 1965 agreement. It is stated, settlement regarding property and claims, which basically means Japan agreed to provide Korea a total of $800 million in the form of loans, grants, and aid as an economic cooperation. In no phrase, it cites compensation for the wartime sex slaves.
Well, Ji-sun, 50 years have passed, more than 50 years, in fact, since this treaty of normalization of relations between the two countries. And now only, I believe, 47 among the hundreds of thousands of women who were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military remain alive. Now, we believe that this apology is not only long overdue, but not enough.
Right, there are a couple of things that victims actually want, and they demand Tokyo to issue a formal unofficial apology so that they can recover their dignity. And considering that the average age of the surviving victims is now 89, time is ticking out.
The Japanese government must legally apologize and recover our honor. That is what we are fighting for. We are continuing our struggle because Tokyo is denying to admit what they have done.
Oh, Ji-sun, what is Tokyo's stance on this?
Well, the key issue here is whether the Japanese government will accept and admit its legal liabilities and take a formal action towards those their responsibilities. But it's likely they will not take that road and do not embrace those responsibilities and take a listen for this expert.
Prime Minister Abe has maintained consistently its original position, which is that Japan's government is only open to considering non-political, humanitarian-based assistance and signs of sympathy toward the victims.
So what it lacks is a government's official acknowledgement of its wrongdoing. So, Ji-sun, can we expect a deal by the end of this year?
That is the proposed by President Park Geun before the summit talks, but we can't be really sure because it's the 10th round of talks and there are more to come. This is held on a bi-monthly basis, Seoul and Tokyo back to back. But actually, we really have to wait and see whether they can narrow their differences to actually seal the deal. And of course, the summit between President Park Geun and Abe has definitely expedited the process, and it could get another boost if they meet again in the multilateral talks, for example, G20 summit that will kick off in Turkey this weekend, and they will actually try to further arrange details on reaching an agreement as well.